When I started the business, I really wanted to produce it, manufacture it in the United States from the get-go, from the ground up, because somebody told me that I couldn't. In one sense, it's always been a business for me. It's also been really, I don't know, I want to call it a hobby, a passion. It's just fun. I don't know, I find it exciting. I know how, vacuum sealers work. I know, valves and tanks. And 10 years ago, I had no idea, I carried a gun around. So that's been fun.
Everybody needs the why. They need that passion. So like for me, I've always told Russ, this is my passion project. You're doing something really good. And for me, this is a continuum of service to the country. It just looks a little different.
I kind of just went through our sample book, picked out a handful of things, sent them to them, and standard, you kind of want to make sure the customer likes what they're getting. We want to give our recommendation, but you also want to make sure they're happy with what they're getting.
The military, you really taught me that standardization is there for a reason, because it works. Everybody knows how to use everything. But in the cooling sense, it wasn't. It was still very ad hoc. Required, labor, required finance. You had to get brand new ice every day. You had to, wash the coolers. You got to carry around the weight one way or the other. You can't avoid it. You're either carrying ice or you're carrying an ice sheet, or you're carrying both. But the general idea is to reduce as much weight as possible for the person that has to carry it. Because one of the unique applications for our stuff is it can actually be carried on a person. So they can actually carry it in a small aid bag on themselves. But they still have to carry it. So we want to be very cognizant of the weight.
Just using USA textiles, using the American supply chain was already really important to us before we even knew what Berry compliance was. So it's really important because there's actually a process for it. And it's a recognized process, and we just feel as if we can, in this, very small company that we can show people, hey, you can do this. Like we did this. You may have to do it at a different scale than us, but you can do it.
Here are the things I think that'll work. What do you think of those? Let's narrow a list. And then it was sample yardage out to them to make sure, hey, build a prototype, make sure it performs the way you want to.
Finding a textile company that we can get those, that's huge. And for us, it's almost a micro of the journey of our country. So you go from Indiana, and then it goes to our sewing company in Kentucky, and then it comes to this small warehouse in Tennessee, and then a lot of our distribution goes out of South Carolina.
Berry compliant is it's big in the military space, right? We want everything to be here from kind of the ground up, made in America, not just woven or sewn, not just knitted here in America. Yeah, you want everything, and that's what we met with this particular requirement for Russ.
We're a small example of what we're looking for to make America as self-sustaining as possible and do the things that we know Americans do really well, which is hard work and quality products. And anything we can do from a business perspective to bring all those elements closer to us.
There's only a few ways to cool somebody off. Either cool them off by evaporation, conduction, or convection, or drag them out of the heat. Past that, you don't have a lot of choice. You're going to have this incident that's going to occur. So that's your time zero. And then you're going to go up for 30 minutes. So your goal within that 30-minute period of time should be to reduce that person's body temperature to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you can do that, that person's likelihood of survival and not having complications is pretty high. But the longer it stretches out, the more catastrophic it becomes.
The fastest way to move heat energy is by having a temperature difference. So the larger I can make that temperature difference, the faster I can move. So if I've got a towel at 40 degrees and a human body at 103, I'm going to be able to pull more heat faster.
There is that time that you cannot avoid between when the accident occurs and you have the ability to cool someone off. So our application kind of falls in that first 0 to 3 or 0 to 6 minutes, because we can be, lickety split, cooling someone off immediately while they're also prepping for a more robust type cooling or beginning an evacuation.
Then you throw in, why is our sheet wet? Well, if you microscopically zoom in at the skin, it's not flat. So if I lay something on it, I've got hills and valleys. Well, I'm only touching on the tops. So I don't have a solid contact surface. Well, what does liquid do? It conforms. So my liquid molecules go down in those valleys, and now I've got a full conductive layer. So that allows pathways for that heat to come off of our skin, which is the human radiator, right? Like that's our radiation system. Dogs pant, we sweat. That's what happens. And so by being able to connect those two to our cold thermal mass, which is our sheet or our ice packs or any of the other things, it allows that transfer to happen so much faster.
This is truly a product that came to him through real world application. I mean, he saw the need for it. He saw people in the worst, most serious cases suffer from things that he knew there was a better way. And this is a business owner taking an idea like that and putting in the legwork to bring it to life. And now he's actually, he's saving lives. They all are by this particular product.
Basically, we were looking for the characteristics in a fabric that were probably opposite of what anybody else would look for. We basically just want a material that can hold as much fluid as humanly possible, or not humanly possible, as physically possible. And that gets into the weave of the material and how it's spun, and then the processes that we put it under here, because we place it all under vacuum. So not only do you have the material itself that has a wicking capacity that we need, but now we can drive the fluid even further into the material. So we can carry it at just, I think maybe 4x in liquid volume over what you can with just the textile.
Once we kind of honed in on this no-hole mesh fabric, we did have about 3 or 4 different options available to us. Obviously, we chose the one that worked the best, but yeah, thankfully TVF's selection process here really made this one much easier to get off the ground, as opposed to a full customer spec from everything out to the end.
The fabric was chosen specifically for its liquid holding capability. And as we're developing a new product, we want the maximum amount of liquid in there as possible, because that helps our thermal conductivity. But we don't want dripping and waste. If it holds 8 ounces, we put in 12, we're just wasting 4. So for us, it's finding those maximums and understanding why and how much.
So in our dream world, and this is what we're shooting for. So you obviously have the military, that's near and dear to our hearts, but law enforcement, firefighters, athletes, that one's really big to us. Athletes, that a lot of them that start, their summer workouts in the dead of heat. The people that make this country run, so roofers, asphalt workers, you name it, anybody that's putting a significant amount of time in, and then an additional one that just having discussion, music festivals. A big festival in the state of Tennessee is Bonnaroo. One of the things people complain about is the heat and heat illness, and this is an easy product that they could have available, or the venue itself could say, hey, when you're buying your water, you're buying here, make sure you grab something to help yourself with cooling.
You could find the material. We still buy, what we think is a pretty good amount relative to what we're doing. So, how do you do it? Where do you find, 10,000 yards of material? And that's the huge advantage TVF provides, because there's always quantity, there's always supply.
I think there's probably a lot of key leaders in business and government throughout the U.S. that would be very surprised to know that, hey, there's this amazing textile company. They have a very compliant product. We're going through the process, and we can show that. I think it could give the motivation to other companies to say, hey, we can do that too.
We have to scale with the businesses that we serve. If they scale and they move into different sectors and different facets of the world, we need to make sure we're there to help them out along the way. And that's where this Berry compliance stuff helped him do totally made in the USA, helped his, domestic supply chain, and we helped further his story and further his business.
I mean, the logistics of moving it's smooth. We send an email, I get a confirm back. Where's your money? We're good.
When you can actually help be a small piece of a product that's saving lives and that has a story like this, it's cool. It's cool. I don't know that everyone can really find something to be proud of their work in. And it's products like this that are really humbling and really make me feel like I'm doing a good job.